Welcome back to Eye on the Money, and today on the show we're talking about how as a borrower you can protect yourself from high interest rates now that the interest rate cap has been repealed, I beg your pardon. And with me in studio we have Esther Maruga, the Acting General Manager of the Credit Reference Bureau, that is Metropole. Now, Esther, before we went to break, you are breaking it all down for us in terms of what to expect, what as a lender they'll be looking out for, what as a borrower you need to have in place. However, I need to ask, and this is because you mentioned that now it's going to be left to the market to decide the interest rates. However, my question is, as a borrower, is there a way in which I can negotiate for better interest rates? How can I then take advantage of this market that is now liberalized?
So, as I said, as a borrower, you want to make yourself favorable to any lender. So the first thing is to make sure that your credit worthiness is on point. And what do I mean by your credit worthiness being on point? Here I'm talking about your credit worthiness. As a borrower, you can be able to demonstrate that when you get a loan, you actually pay. So we'll be looking at your payment behavior. For the current loans or the loans that you've been having, how have you been paying? Are there incidences of missed payments? Are there cases where we find any adverse action on your profile? Say, for instance, there's a bounce check, you have inquiries, multiple inquiries on the same day, meaning you're making mass applications. You have issues with, as I said, multiple credit applications. So on your accounts, the accounts that you have, how have you been paying? So we'll be tracking your monthly payment, your installments. Are you able to pay those installments on time? And based on that information that we collect, then as a bureau, we're able to assign you a credit score. And this credit score is a measure of your probability of default. And the score, the Metropole score ranges from 200 to 900, with a lower score indicating that you are a high risk, and a high score indicating that you are a low risk. So those are some of the things we'll be looking at. As a borrower, are you able then to track your credit score, to be able to monitor it? And this will mean that you're able to get to know the accounts that have been listed, or you have had that information on the bureau. How often do you pay? That is, are you able to pay installment as it falls due? And that way, if you have a clean record, then by the time even the borrower is looking for your profile, meaning at the time when you're borrowing, the bank will already see that you have a good credit history. And based on that, then you find that then you can be able to take advantage of the interest capping, of the interest rates that are favorable. One of the things maybe I just need to bring into context is that the governor, that is the CBK governor, has also been very categorical on how the banks should run now past the interest capping.
Right.
And one of the things which was there is coming up with customer-centric processes. You're calling it the banking sector charter, which has 4 pillars. And one is now coming up with having customer-centric processes. So what that means is that even as a borrower, as you go out to the bank will have processes that are able to give you more information, have full disclosure, so the issues of hidden charges then do not crop up. The issue of other underlying, statements within the terms and conditions do not come up. Then we also mentioned about the risk-based pricing. With the interest capping now out of the way, then the banks now are able to extend to borrowers who would be considered high risk in an environment where we have interest capping. But without the interest capping now, they can be able to price their loans higher and be able now to accommodate. Yes, so the market that we are looking at, the SME who are deemed to be high risk, then this is an opportunity for them now to take advantage, because the conversation will change from you have been denied credit to whether you're willing to take the credit, and which will cost you more. So it's a willingness of the borrower also to absorb the credit, but at a higher cost. So those are some of the things that will be coming in with the interest capping being out of the way, and we expect that the market now will become, we expect to see very innovative products also coming from the banks in that quarter. Yeah.
Esther, you mentioned something that was very important, and the first thing you mentioned is, as a borrower, you need to be on top of your credit history. You need to be on top of your credit score. But then a lot of people out there will tell you, like, they don't know how to do this. So practically speaking, how can I do this?
So to get to know your credit score, you have to access your credit report or the credit score from licensed credit bureaus. So as a borrower, then you have to take the initiatives to actually access your credit report. And every bureau has a way that customers can be able to access their credit report, and the credit report will have your credit score. For Metropole, what we have is that you can get this report through a USSD, where you dial *433# and you get your credit report. You can walk into our offices, the regional offices, and or the where we are stationed. We also have partnership with Huduma centers, where customers can just walk in with their IDs and be able to get their credit report. On the credit report, then we will give you your credit score, and the credit score will be indicative of how your accounts have been performing. Right. So if you have a non-performing account, and here, as I said, with a non-performing account is an account that has not been serviced for 90 days as per the prudential guidelines, then you expect that your credit score will be lower. Right. The other thing is that on the credit report, it's important also to confirm that the information that is actually reported on you is accurate. Right. Because if the information is not accurate, it means that your score, which we have calculated based on that information, will actually be erroneous. So it's important for you, once you get your credit report, confirm that the information is accurate. For instance, if you had a loan, you want to know that have the banks or the financial institutions been updating your record month to month. So then so you get what we call a credit score based on the account information that have been given on you, which will demonstrate the payment behavior, your length of credit history, which is now aggregate to that credit score. The other important thing is not only for you to get the credit score, you also need to monitor. Right. So what we have CRBs again, one on the regulation, the CRB regulation, borrowers or customers are entitled to one free credit report per year. But if you are an active borrower, then you like to know who is making inquiries on your profile. Exactly. At what point does my credit score change? So what we have done is that we have enabled the customer now to subscribe for those services, so that when an inquiry is done on your profile, as a borrower, you get a notification. When your credit score changes, as a borrower, you get a notification. That means you're able to fix any adverse issue that could crop up before you can even go out and borrow. And that's the kind of empowerment that we would like, because by you understanding your credit report, by you understanding your credit score, that tells you how whether you are credit worth. And that means when you go to the bank, as you get to know the interest rates that are being charged, then you can be able to float and say, but my records are like this. Right. And that now will bring in the conversation, as a borrower, am I able to negotiate for better terms with the banks or with the lenders?
Beautifully put. Thank you very much for coming on to the show, Esther. You've done a very, very amazing job in demystifying so many perceptions out there. There's a very actually big conversation going around of we're finished. We're finished. Now that the interest rate cap has been repealed, we're finished. But I feel like you've done a very good job in explaining to us exactly how to go in there to negotiate for better rates, what's in the mind of the bank, of the financial institutions, and how to stay on top of your credit score. Thank you very much. You've been amazing. Unfortunately, we've come to the end of the show today, but as usual, I'll leave you with a financial tip. History dictates that interest rates will not stay low forever. But the speed at which rates rise and how far they climb is difficult to predict. Those who pay no attention to interest rates can miss out on valuable opportunities to profit in a rising rate environment. There are several ways that investors can cash in on rising rates, such as buying stocks of companies that consume raw materials, laddering their CD or bond portfolios, strengthening their positions in the dollar and refinancing their homes. You can also have an honest conversation with a financial advisor on how to profit from rising interest rates. That's where we'll wrap it up today on Eye on the Money, but you can keep the conversation going on our social media pages at Metropole TV KE on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. I'm Ingrid Nantege. Don't go anywhere because we have so much more amazing programming coming your way. Thanks, Esther.
Thank you.
You are great.